Shalom Israel. Okay, I want to continue where I left off at. Okay, we was in Genesis, the 28th chapter, 12 and 13. Okay, I'm gonna read 12 again. It says, "Now, and he dreamed." This is talking about Jacob, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of the Father ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it. The word above it, now, again, we're dealing with, this is the King James Version that I'm reading from. But when you read it in Hebrew now, it doesn't say, and behold, the Lord stood above it. It says that the Lord stood beside him. The Lord stood beside Jacob. And this Lord here is the Messiah. Again, like I said earlier, the Bible is talking about the Messiah from the book of Genesis all the way to the book of Revelation. Like I said again, every parable and every miracle is alluding to the Messiah. So when you read this in Hebrew, it says, and behold, the Lord stood beside him, which was Jacob, and said, so he's identifying himself to Jacob, and said, I am the Messiah, the Allah or God of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac, the land and the land thereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. So the biological seed of Israel is very, very important. And what the biological seed of Israel must realize and understand that we are supposed to be a light to the other nations. I'm going to say it again. The responsibility of the biological seed of Israel, okay, is to be a light to the other nations. Now, what I want to do now is elaborate a little bit more in showing that verse 13 is referring to the Messiah, and that Jacob, okay, stood beside the Messiah. Now, let's go to the book of John 1:51. Okay, the book of John, or Yohanan, got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, 1:51. Now, no, let me read from verse 49. Verse 49 to 51. Nathanael answered and said unto him, Rabbi, referring to the Messiah, thou art the Son of the Father, thou art the King of Israel. All right, the King of Israel is the Messiah. Verse 50. The Messiah answered and said unto him, because I said to thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Verse 51. He said unto him, verily, verily, or of a surety, I say unto you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and the angels of the Father ascending and descending upon the Son, or beside the Son of Man. And the only thing you have to do is compare that with the book of Genesis 28:13, because the same thing that happened, okay, to Jacob, the Messiah is explaining the same exact thing to Nathanael here in the book of John 1:51. All right, so I just want to make sure that I'm comparing and making sure that there's no problem with anybody understanding exactly what I'm saying here. Now, where we at here now? Now, to fully understand the picture that I'm drawing, you must watch the whole complete series. Okay. Now, because I'm about to go into some things, and it might be a little controversial, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, we're going to go now to the main topic, which is the book of Leviticus, the 16th chapter. And I'm going to go ahead and get to the punchline. Leviticus, the 16th chapter. These two goats are alluding to two very important individuals. All right. And these two individuals, that these two goats are alluding to. One of the goats is alluding to the Messiah, and the other goat is alluding to Yohanan the Immerser, okay, the harbinger, okay, the forerunner of the Messiah. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, so make sure everybody's already geared up to what I'm about to talk about. Leviticus, the 16th chapter, is talking about two goats. These two goats are representing people. And the people that they're representing, okay, because they're alluding to, is the Messiah and John the Baptist. Now what I want to do is, I guess just go ahead and begin reading this. And the Lord, okay, spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord and died. Now, when we go into Leviticus, the 10th chapter, we see now that Aaron had two sons, and his two sons were not following the directions. It's very important that we follow directions. When you don't follow directions, there's going to be a consequence. And the consequence with this particular situation is that these two sons of Aaron died because they offered unlawful fire to the Most High, to the Messiah. Verse 2. And the Lord spoke or said unto Moses, Moshe, speaking to Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil, okay, before the mercy seat which is upon the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud, and the person that's going to appear in this cloud is the Messiah upon the mercy seat. Now, this set appointed time, okay, that we're talking about here now, is it happens in the 7th month. We're talking about the Day of Atonement, the 7th month, the 10th day. Once a year, the high priest, okay, he goes into the Holy of Holies. Once a year, and again, this is done in the 7th month, the 10th day of the month. Now, let's go to the scriptures to back that up. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews, I believe that's 9 and 7. Let's just read that. The book of Hebrews 9 and 7. 9 and 7. Actually, you know, whenever you get time, read the whole chapter of Hebrews, the 9th chapter. Read that whole thing there. But I'm just going to go to the 7th verse. It says, but unto the second went the high priest alone once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. So we're talking about the Day of Atonement here, and what's being explained here to the Levitical priesthood. And I'm going to read it again in verse 2. And the Messiah said unto Moses, or Moshe, speaking to Aharon, thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil. So the only time that he's supposed to come into this holy place within the veil is during the Day of Atonement. He's going to make an atonement for himself and for the nation of Israel. Within the veil, before the mercy seat, so within inside of the veil, which we have the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not, for I will appear in the cloud, and the person that's going to appear in the cloud will be the Messiah upon the mercy seat. So we know there's the Messiah that sits upon the mercy seat. Verse 3, thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with a young bullock, okay, for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. That is very, very important for us to understand, okay, that that when Aaron goes into the holy place, he has to have the young bullock for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. Verse 4, he should put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and he shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with the linen mitre shall he be attired. These are holy garments, therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. So what we have here in verse 4, okay, a priest was deemed ready to serve office around or at 30 years old. That's very important. But before this service was done, he had to go through what we call a mikvah, okay, a spiritual washing. And we're going to see how this all ties in with the Messiah, because when the Messiah started his ministry, he was around 30 years old. And he needed to go through what we call a mikvah, okay, a spiritual washing. Now, let's back up, okay, or prove what I'm saying now about when this washing or this ceremony is supposed to take place. Let's go to the book of Numbers. The 4th chapter, I'm going to read verses 1 to 4, because it's talking about that a priest starts his ministry or his service around or at the age of 30. Numbers, the 4th chapter. I want to make sure I prove all things. Numbers, the 4th chapter. Fourth chapter, I'm going to read 1 to 4. And the Messiah spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, take the sum of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi, okay, after their families by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even until 50 years old. So this process started now at 30 years old all the way up to 50 years old, all that enter into the host to do the work in the tabernacle of the congregation. This shall be the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation about the most holy things. Now, let's go to Luke 3:23. I just want to make sure every single thing is tied in properly. Luke, the 3rd chapter, 23. Let's find out when the Messiah started his ministry. Luke 3:23. Luke 3:23. It says, and Yeshua, Yahushua, the Messiah, okay, himself began to be about 30 years old, okay, being, and then he has in parentheses, as was supposed the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli. So what I'm trying to bring out here now is that the Messiah's ministry started at 30 years old. The Messiah is fulfilling, okay, all the things that were spoken of him. That's the reason why I said at the very beginning that every parable and every miracle is alluding to the Messiah. The Messiah came to fulfill all the things that was written of him. The Messiah is that high priest. So when we see what's going on in Numbers, the 4th chapter, what's happening is we're seeing the Messiah fulfilling the things that was spoken of him, because all of this is alluding to him. All of it. So again, the Messiah started his ministry at 30 years old. Now, let's go back to the book of Leviticus, the 16th chapter, so we can understand exactly what's going on here. Verse 4, I'm going to read it again. He shall put on the holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and shall be girded with the linen girdle. With the linen mitre shall he be attired. These are holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. And the process is called a mikvah. He's cleansing himself, okay, before he put on these holy garments, because he's about to make an atonement. And we should understand that the Messiah was that atoning sacrifice for the nation of Israel. I'm going to say it again. The Messiah was that atoning sacrifice for the nation of Israel. With that, I say shalom.